Magandang araw muli sa inyong lahat, mga mahal kong mag-aaral. Welcome to week 3 of our video recorded discussion or VRD for grade 8 Science. Ngayong araw ay pagpapatuloy natin ang pag-aaral ng particle nature of matter. Bago tayo magpatuloy sa leksyon natin sa araw na ito, tayo ay magbalik-aral. Ano-ano nga ba ang mga napag-usapan at natutunan natin sa nakaraang video? So, what have we discussed last time? Last time, we discussed about what makes up matter. So, pretty much you know the answer to this question. Can you still remember? So far, we learned that matter is made up of small particles, and that there are two types of particles. The smallest particle is the atom, which has all the properties of the element, and molecule, which is made up of two or more atoms and has all the properties of the given substance. We also learned that although we were not able to see particles through our eyes, we were able to infer from given situations or observable events that matter is made of particles. You were also able to represent through drawing or illustration that there is space or void between the particles of matter. And you were able to appreciate particles as the building blocks of matter by doing works of arts like the pointless painting and rangoli. Now, can you tell me what this is? How about this one? Difficult, isn't it? How about if I do this? Do you have an idea now? Those were actually models of particles, specifically molecules, as they are groups of atoms. This is a water molecule. It has a symbol H2O. A molecule of water is made up of one oxygen atom and two hydrogen atoms. And this one is a molecule of sucrose, a sugar. It has a chemical formula of C12H22O11. This means it has 12 carbons, 22 hydrogens, and 11 oxygen atoms. You will learn a lot of these chemical formula when you proceed to grade 9 and 10. So, what do you think is our lesson for today? Our lesson for today is about the motion of atoms in relation to the state of matter. You are expected to explain physical changes in terms of the arrangement and motion of atoms and molecules. By the end of this session, you should be able to infer from observations that there are spaces between particles of matter and that these particles move. Second, you are going to illustrate through drawings that the particles of a liquid moves. And finally, you are going to appreciate that states of matter depends on the arrangement and motion of atoms and molecules. Please remember these important terms. These will help you to understand better as we move along the discussion. First word is atom. Atom is the smallest particle of matter. It comes from the Greek word atomos, which means indivisible or cannot be divided. We learned from our previous discussion that this is not true. Second word is molecule. A molecule is a particle made up of two or more atoms. The third word is particle. A particle is a very small quantity or portion of something. There are two types of particles. We have atom and molecule. The last word is vibrate. This means to move to and fro or from side to side. For you to be able to learn by doing, let's perform activity number 3 entitled, Are the particles of matter moving? What is between them? This is found on your Science 8 Learners material on page 178. Sa pag-perform ng activity o gawain, inaasahan na matatapos ka sa loob ng 20 minuto. Maaari mo namang ihinto or i-pause ang video habang ginagawa mo ang iyong gawain. Pag-usapan natin, ano-ano nga ba ang ating mga nalaman pagkatapos natin gawin ang ating activity? So, from activity 3, you observed that you could slightly push the plunger of the syringe with air in it. You felt the springiness or pressure of the air inside the syringe, which gives you a hint about the distance between the particles of air as they move all over the inside of the syringe. In other words, air, being a gas, can be compressed because there are large spaces between the particles, so the particles can be made to come closer to each other. However, you were not able to push the plunger of the syringe with water in it. You automatically feel the resistance of the water to being compressed. The plunger could not be pushed because water is not as compressible as air. The particles of liquid water are closer to each other, and it is difficult to push them even closer to each other. How about the drops of food color in the water? What happened to them? We know that the particles of water are somehow packed together than air. So it took a while for the food color, which is also a liquid, to spread in the water. But because the molecules of a liquid is free to move past each other, when the drops of food coloring hit the water, its molecules was able to pass through the molecules of water and hit the bottom of the container. But why did the food coloring mix thoroughly with the water after 24 hours without even stirring it? This phenomenon tells us another thing about particles, that the particles of matter are always moving. The particles of the food coloring mixed thoroughly with the particles of water because all of the particles inside the glass container are moving. This is why, after 24 hours, the food coloring particles mixed thoroughly with the particles of water. So, does this mean that the particles of a solid is also moving? What do you think? The answer is yes. The particles of a solid is also moving, but only to some extent. Because solids have definite shape, we can infer that its particles cannot move past each other, just like liquid. We can say that the particles of solids move in place or simply vibrate. From the idea that matter is made up of particles and the situations that you observed, your drawings show how you see matter beyond what you can observe with your unaided eyes. You are actually creating your own mental picture and constructing models, which are drawings or diagrams that are representations of what is happening at a level beyond what your eyes can see. This is what your science teachers call the submicroscopic model of representing an idea or concept, which you cannot observe with your senses or even aided by a simple microscope. At this stage, it is impossible that the mental models you have drawn do not perfectly match those that you see in books. Keep in mind that the models are not like the pictures taken by a camera. They are only representations of reality. Let us sum up what we have learned today. Today, we learned from observations and through our activity that there are spaces between the particles of matter. We also learned that gas particles have greater space between its particles than that of a liquid and a solid. We also learned that the particles of matter are always moving, but up to some extent. Solids or solid particles vibrate. Liquid particles can move past each other, and gas particles are free to move about its container. And finally, we learned that the motion of the particles of matter greatly affects its properties as what is being observed between the three phases, the solids, liquids, and gases. Let's proceed to evaluation. Let us test if you were able to understand the concepts on today's lesson. Do not frustrate yourself if you are not able to answer all questions correctly. Just keep on trying until you understand the concept. Understanding concepts goes far and beyond. Let's begin now. Question number 1. What is found between the particles of matter? Correct. The correct answer is letter D. Nothing. There's nothing between the particles of matter. It's just plain space or void. Question number 2. True or false? States of matter depend on the arrangement and motion of atoms and molecules. Correct. The answer is letter A. True. Question number 3. Identify the phase of matter shown based on the motion of the particles. The correct answer is letter B. Gas. Question number 4. Identify the phase of matter shown based on the motion of the particles. Correct. The correct answer is letter C. Liquid. Last question. Question number 5. Identify the phase of matter shown based on the motion of the particles. Correct. The correct answer is letter A. A solid. Maraming salamat mga mahal kong mag-aaral sa inyong ibayong pakikinig. Sana ay mayroon kayong karagdagang kaalaman na natutunan sa araw na ito. Learning is fun. So let us have fun as we venture together in the world of science. This has been your teacher, Teacher Melvin of Eladio Tibaliti Memorial School of Fisheries, thanking you for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye!